Dyads of Doom. Today we're talking all about dyads and how they can be applied to doom metal. Before anybody jumps down my throat, of course, dyads can be applied to a variety of genres of metal and have been used in rock and metal for years. Very prominent in black metal, obviously used in thrash and other forms of heavy metal. But today we're going to be looking at dyads in the context of doom metal with a bunch of examples from the doom metal genre. So before we get started here today, I am playing a Woodwright Warlord in C standard tuning with 12 to 54 strings running into a Does It Doom Baghdad preamp into a green Matamp GT120. So first off, what is a dyad? Well, a dyad is any two-note chord, and I'm sure we're all extremely familiar with the most common dyad, which is the root 5 power chord. And so why is that called a root 5 dyad? Well, the chord itself is composed of a root note, which is typically taken as the lowest note in the chord, and then a fifth interval from that root. So you've got a root, a minor second, a major second, a minor third, a major third, a perfect fourth, a flat fifth, and a fifth. This note is the same as that note, which is a fifth away from the root. Now, while that is all well and good, you can also construct any other two-note chord consisting of any other two-note interval. You've got a minor sixth, a major sixth, a minor seventh, a major seventh, and an octave. Then if we go the other way from that typical root 5, you've got a root flat 5, or a root diminished fifth or augmented fourth. Then you've got a perfect fourth here, a root and a perfect fourth interval. Then you've got a root and a major third, a root and a minor third, a root and a major second, a root and a minor second, and a unison here. Now, I'm not saying you're going to want to create riffs solely of these dyads, but I think the way I've seen them most effectively used is just sprinkled in here and there with your typical power chord riff. Now, this lesson is mostly off the cuff, but if you want to learn some of the riffs that I'm going to discuss today, you can find them over at patreon.com/doesitdoom. Sign up for free, gain full access to the entire library for 7 days, and check out everything that's in there. Maybe learn a few riffs, stay if you like, cancel if you don't. One final dyad I want to mention before we get going is, of course, the octave. And in that situation, I'm muting the 5th string note, but playing the octave here on the 4th string, which is the octave to that 6th string root note. Now, of all the guitarists I've studied over the years, I would say Pike is the one who uses this technique the most. I've seen it in tons of High on Fire and Sleep songs. And so we'll just check out a couple examples here so I can give you an idea of how Matt uses it. And so a great riff here that uses not only your typical root 5 power chord, but also a root minor 6th and an octave dyad is the intro from Fury Whip by High on Fire. As you can see there, we've got your typical root 5 power chord shapes. But we're also throwing in those root minor 6 dyads. And you've got these octaves. I find that Matt likes to often walk down from a typical root 5 power chord to a root minor 6th. This particular section is from Death Is This Communion. That's kind of walking down from a standard root 5 to a root minor 6th to a root major 6th. Another great one is the intro to Waste of Tiamat using a minor 3rd dyad and then a bunch of minor 6 dyads. that one, we had a root minor third dyad. Then we had the root major sixth dyad. And then, of course, these ones. That is a root major third dyad. Now, as we transition to these major and minor third dyads, I want to talk about Crowbar. Crowbar is a band that uses a lot of harmonies. They do a lot of harmonization in thirds. And while we're not talking harmonies today, you can get an idea of how some of their riffs would sound on a single guitar if you play the harmonized thirds as dyads. So this is the intro riff to Lasting Dose played on one guitar. So as you can see there, you kind of got a minor third dyad to a major third, to a minor third, back to major, back to minor, back to major, back to minor. Now another cool sleep riff that uses major third dyads, perfect fourth dyads, and a really cool major sixth dyad form is Aquarium. So there, I'm using obviously those root major third dyads at the start. Then hammering on to these perfect fourth dyads. And these bends. Down to the fifth. Then I transition to what I'm calling a root major sixth. Matt loves to use that chord. And so similar to the octave chord, I'm muting the string in between. So I've got basically a 7th fret here on the 2nd and 4th strings, and I'm muting that 3rd string. I showed you all the different finger stretches, but some of the most typical positions would be that root 5 power chord, root major 3rd, root minor 3rd, root perfect 4th, root flat 5th, that's one we didn't really talk about, super dissonant though, root minor 6th, and the root major 6th. Those are super common along with that octave and that cool Pike style major 6th. Anyway guys, the purpose of this lesson really wasn't to teach you those riffs, but to really just show you some different dyads in context, give you an idea of how you can apply this concept to your own riffs. Play around with it. I think they sound really great if you throw them in here and there, kind of sporadically. Use them sparsely, but use them tastefully. Can write some really great riffs. Walking down like that's always going to sound really Pike-esque because he does it a lot. So while I don't have tabs for this lesson, I put together a downloadable PDF that kind of lays out the names and shapes of all of these dyads so you have something to reference and keep on hand. So you can download that down below. I want to send out a huge thank you to everyone who supports this channel over on Patreon. The very special thank you to all of our Riff Lord and Riff Messiah tier producers. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, you can do so by clicking the round subscribe icon. And for another lesson just like this, you could click the YouTube video directly below me. So until next time, always remember, Tony Iommi is your friend.